Hello and welcome back to the Confidently You podcast. I'm Helen. Hope you're doing well. So this week's episode is entitled The Week Most Women Quit, which is this week. Facts. But you're not going to. That's it. That's the title. So we're going to get into that in a minute. But firstly, I'm going to give you an update on my life. When I restarted this podcast last year, I said I wasn't going to take it as seriously as I used to. Bit of backstory. Go back to episode 1 if you want to hear all about my life, who I am, where I've come from and what I do now. And I've been helping women now for 7 years. 7 years I've been doing this, which is amazing. And also, how fast has that gone, right? For those of you that have known me from the start, from my first client, Nick, I don't know if she listens to this, but we're still in touch occasionally. And to women that I'm, meeting every day online, what a growth and expansion I've had personally and professionally. It is a profession, although I don't take it that seriously half the time because it's not that serious. Life's not that serious, but this is my profession and I'm blessed to do it. But I've come a long way, and I said this podcast was going to be a bit more laid back. And then I think a little bit of me got into the trap of it not being laid back and me taking it a bit too seriously and just trying to give you loads of information and just be really professional. Now, like I said, this is my profession and I am professional, but I'm also not professional. I'm fun. I'm silly. What you see is what you get with me. So I want this more to be a safe space of where you get to know me as well and what I'm really like. Because if you're listening to this and you're either on the fence about joining Fit Girl Club or having a chat with me and seeing if it's the right fit for you, I think knowing what I'm really like is helpful. Because if you don't like me, I'm not the right coach for you. Absolutely not. If I annoy you, 1, why are you listening to this? And 2, I'm not your coach. But if you're like, oh, I like her, she's a bit normal. That's a compliment I get all the time, by the way. Then I'm here for you. And what you see is what you get. This energy is not put on. I'm literally like this all the time. I say I'm literally a dog. I'm a dog. Put me outside in a field somewhere running around. I'm happy. Simple life, simple pleasures. Although it's obviously more complex than that. So, a little update about my week, the last week in Helen's world, Fit Girl Club world. Yeah, great. Clients are doing amazing. So I'm not just saying this. I came back from being away over Christmas and New Year, back for New Year, and January was coming and we were just rolling into January with my clients that I already have. And I was like, how am I going to spice this up a bit? Get them motivated, get them, wanting to do the things in January that are really tough. It's a really hard time of year to start new habits, by the way, girls. If you are into this, into the thick of January, well done you. It's a really tough time of year to get motivated and want to do it. We should definitely have New Year in March, April, springtime, where we're like springing back into life. That's a really good time to start a new goal. But anyway, we're here now, we're in it and we're doing it because we're determined. But the girls, to keep them going, and we have daily accountability and I have a group and I have a community. It's like, how am I going to get them, get them a bit more involved and stuff? So we've set a January challenge and it's going fantastic. And it's making such a big impact on them. One of my big things with coaching is as much as you can, you have to get rid of some things. Some things just aren't good for you. But as much as you can, I want you to add instead of take away. So it doesn't seem like restriction. And now for the girls, the challenge is fruits and veg, eat 5 portions of fruit and veg a day, 2 meals with protein. You can do this yourselves if you want, by the way. Get outside every day. Now, this was a bit more challenging when we had the snow and ice, especially if you were in places that had like ice on the ground, which is treacherous. So I gave options of like getting crampons, and if you really couldn't get out, you can do some Get Fit with Rick walking workouts, because that's a mouthful, on YouTube. Look those up. They're free. They're fantastic. I do them sometimes. Also, get a walking pad like I've got. And then drink 2 litres of water a day minimum, or tea. I've given them the option of tea. I don't think coffee's great to have 2 litres. I'd be like, I wouldn't be anyone's friend. I'd be so bloody anxious. 1 cup of coffee's enough for me, and that's my joy for the day. That sounds so sad. Like I have no joy in my life, but it's my only vice now, and I don't think coffee is a vice anyways. I love it. And do something for you every day. You might be listening to this going, what do you mean do something for me? How much of your time do you spend on you? The actual you. Looking after yourself, like something for you. And that's read a bit of a book, have a bath, go for a walk on your own, listen to your favourite podcast, go scream into a pillow. Do something for you. I'm not even kidding about the last one. we spend so much time doing for others, whether it's your work, your family, and we have all these responsibilities. A lot of you now will have aging parents. A lot of you have children or teenagers, and you are spread so thin, and you're probably high achiever. Like most of the women I speak to are really high achievers because you attract what you are. And I am literally ridiculous with how much work and energy I put into my business, which is fantastic. But also you've got to look after you as well. So the girls are loving it and the feedback from it is amazing. They're like, oh, this is great. I've read a book in a week and I wouldn't normally do this. And it's just good to stop and have that of a challenge. So yeah, they're doing really well. So Fit Girl Club, tick, done, great. The girls are fantastic. Honestly, I love what I do and I love coaching them. Now, personal life, I have been really good with staying off social media. I did find myself slipping a little bit the other day. I was a bit tired and I started a little comparison and then I just pulled myself out of it and went, what are you doing? What are you doing? Stay in your own lane, Helen. When I didn't have anything to compare myself to when I was in Australia, I was so happy. So it's hard when you're a high achiever and you want to do well. It is hard to come out of that comparison trap. And I know we all do it. You might not do it the way I do it. I'm looking at other fitness businesses and looking at how well they're doing and being like, wow, why have they got all these followers? Or not that that matters, by the way. It doesn't, or likes or things like that. It doesn't matter. And I know that and I understand that. I'd much rather have you girls that listen to me, love me, and my girls that I coach, who I love truly as well, and I love you all, then millions of followers that probably don't even really like you that much. So I pulled myself back out of it. But this is the thing to recognise. Parts of our DNA and who we are always going to be there. That comparison thing is always going to be there with me. I can't get rid of it. It's just part of my brain. It's the way I'm wired. I wish I could, but I can't. But you can work on how you react to it and you can work on what you consume. So like me coming off social media, I know not to react to it. So I have my trigger, I work out what it is, and then what can I do about it? What can you do about it? Just come off it and then just go for a walk, get outside and just really think about what you want, where you're at, what you want to achieve. You know, comparing yourself to women on the internet, 20-year-olds who have abs, things like that, or the past you that has a different life. Just if it's affecting you, just come away from it. Just step away, mute that person, block them, unfollow them, anything, whether it's, you know, honestly, protect your peace, girls. Absolutely. So my social media consumption is better. I'm still going to bed earlier. It is creeping a bit though, because I get really excited. This is my own problem. And I know what I'm like with it. Like I was doing work last night. I was off social media, but I'd got a message from, I have a team that I work with, and I got a message at 7 o'clock. And I said, oh, I'll action that tomorrow. And then I'm just sat there at 7 o'clock doing it. And I just do. So I need to make sure that I am getting to bed earlier. But I'm not going on social media before bed, and I'm still reading my book. I finished one book already this year. It's Wayward. I can't remember the author, but it's about witches. It's really good. And I'm on to another book now, and I'm nearly 50% of the way through. This book is very similar, though, to a lot of stuff I've been reading at the minute. They seem to have similar themes, dragons and fairies, and it's similar story. I don't know. I like it, but it's also very, if I'd have read it first, I'd be like, this book's amazing, but I've read similar books, so I need to change my genre a little bit. And then on Sunday, I was meant to be at a race. Now, girls, I use the term race loosely, and I don't race. I'm not going to win. And even if I did, I'm not that competitive. I'm competitive against me, but I run more for fun and distance, and it's training. All the runs I'm doing now up until July are just training for the 50 miler that I've got at the end of July. My gosh, 50 miler in the Lake District, which is going to be ridiculous. So everything I'm doing is just training. And my friend asked me, she said, you want to go do this run? It's a renowned 10-mile run, muddy. 10 miles for me is fine. That doesn't scare me anymore. If you'd have asked me that 2 years ago, I'd have been like, oh, I've never done 10 miles. That's ridiculous. But now it's just 10 miles. So that's the thing with not just running. Anything you do, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And the more you increase your goalposts, the easier it becomes. So we booked it in a while ago, and anyway, she's stuck in Filey, and the snow and ice was really bad. And last minute, she was like, oh, I'm not going to make it. And I was like, you know what? I don't really fancy going on my own. I don't care about doing anything on my own, by the way. I'm quite competent and confident to do things on my own. But I don't want to go on my own, be muddy and rainy, and just be a bit shit. And even though it's one of my favourite things to do. And if it was something I'd planned to do, I'd definitely go on my own. That wouldn't bother me. But I've actually got a run on Saturday in the Lake District. It's a night run. It's the recce run, which means you do part of the route for the race that I've signed up to, the 50 miler in July. And that needs to be my priority. So I thought, I don't need to go. It's annoying that I'd paid for it, but I don't need to go. My friend's not going. I was going for fun with them. So I actually ended up doing 10 miles on my walking pad instead, which I dare say is probably worse because it's really dull. I have a podcast on. I watch podcasts on YouTube. That sounds unusual because normally you'd be like, well, why didn't you just watch telly? Telly's really boring at the minute. There's nothing that I'm interested in that I haven't watched or I'm not waiting to watch with Martin. And yeah, sometimes I don't like to watch too much telly. Is anyone else like that? I just find it a bit dull, like brain numbing. So anyway, I watched a podcast and it took me 2 hours and 5 minutes on my walking pad. And to be honest with you, once you get past the first 30 minutes, it's actually all right. The first 30 minutes are the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. You're like, why am I doing this? This is horrible. It's also really slow, which is a good thing because for long distance running, you need to build up your endurance. You're going to be running slow. I'm going to be hiking some of it. I'm going to be out. I'm predicting I'd love to do it in 14 hours, but I might be out for 16 hours. I could be out for 24 hours. That's the cut-off time. And you're not going to be running all of that. A lot of it's uphill as well. So building that baseline of endurance, which is that slow, steady run. So when I'm running on my walking pad, honestly, I'm not even out of breath. I'm just like, And that's why it can be a bit boring because when you're outside, obviously there's more things going on and you're entertained. And I just love running outside. But it was really snowy, really icy. Didn't fancy slipping, hurting myself because I am, as you know, accident prone. I still got the scab on my arm from, gosh, that's over 2 weeks now when I fell in Australia. Flu. It's nearly gone. If you're watching this, you can see it. No, you can't because the thingy's rubbish. There you go. Anyway, that was great visual for all you listeners. But yeah, so I decided not to do it and did the walking pad, but still did it. Everyone says I'm like really tough for doing that, but at the end of the day, if you've set yourself a goal or something you want to achieve, especially booking an event, like I'm not going to lie, this Lakeland 50, it's cost me £160, plus the weekend in the lakes, plus all the recce runs, which are £30 a time, petrol, everything. I'll have spent nearly, with all my kit and everything, at least £500-600. That sounds like a lot, but it probably is that much, you know, by doing it. So it's a life experience. So I'm going to do my training because I want to, when I get to that start line, I don't want to be like, oh my God, I've not done enough for this. I want to be like, I can do this. I've done enough for it. Like when I did my first ultra last year, my 30 miler, I stood on that start line and I was like, I can do this. I've done enough training for it. You don't actually run the full distance in training though, just FYI. You run that much volume in a week and you do long distances and certain parameters around you running, right? There's a build up of volume when it comes to ultra running. If you've not run long distances before, you don't actually run the distance. And the funny thing is, when I did the ultra that day, I did my first ever marathon and ultra marathon in the same day because I'd never run in a marathon distance before. Before I did the 30 miler, the longest I'd run was 20 miles. And now, if you said go run 20 miles, I'd be like, oh yeah, okay. Perspective's funny, isn't it? I do need to run another marathon. I will run another marathon this year at some point. But I don't run for speed either. I just run for distance and for fun. Psychotic fun. Honestly, type 2 fun. They call it. During it, you're like, what am I doing? But and then after, you're like, this was great. But to be honest with you, with ultra running and trail running, a lot of the time during, I'm like, this is amazing. Going out on some of those routes, sometimes I'd just be on my own, just in the middle of nowhere. I'd planned this route up in like, one time I was up in like north of Helmsley and just in this woods and all these fallen trees. And I was just having the best time. So anyway, that's an update about me. What was great about that run as well, I did it on Sunday, did the 10 miles, then I had a chilled afternoon. Added point, this is extra waffle. I will get to the podcast meat and gravy in a minute. But I had a new top snack, Rice Krispie Squares honeycomb. Honeycomb is my absolute favourite. Rice Krispie Squares honeycomb. Cup of tea after I'd run that 10 miler. I'd had my omelette with loads of nutrients and salad and kimchi and beetroot after. Then I had a cup of tea and watched a film. German dubbed World War II film. Yeah, strange hobbies. And chilled out. But then the next day, what was great is I went for a swim. I went and did 40-minute swim, and I didn't feel sore or anything. So yeah, great. So that's an update of me, and hope you're doing well. I'd love to hear all about you. You can always add comments, or please just message me on. I've added my social media details below, but I'd love to hear from everyone. And if there's any topics or anything you'd like to hear about, let me know. The week most women quit, but not you. Not you. No, we have no quitters here. Because the only time you actually fail, failure isn't a thing. The only time you ever fail is if you give up completely. And no one's ever given up completely. To be honest with you, the only time you ever give up completely is if you're dead. Sorry. Okay, so all or nothing thinking is ruining your progress. So this all or nothing thinking actually looks like if you've started the year with intentions that are so strict and restrictive. For example, I always use this because it's a really strong case of something that's so strict and restrictive. If any of you are doing it, number one, hats off to you. But I just couldn't possibly think of it. And I couldn't think of anything worse. Like if you're going from hardly ever working out or training or eating, vegetables or protein to like something like the 75 hard, it's quite impossible to keep it up. Now, things like the 75 hard or the fast 800 are just really strict, restrictive. Fast 800 is a really restrictive diet. 75 hard is a really crazy exercise regime and program. I think I spoke about it last week, and you have to do like 2 workouts a day, no alcohol, no takeaways. I could do the no alcohol and takeaways because that doesn't bother me anyway, but even I don't do 2 workouts a day, and it's quite impossible to give yourself that standard of challenge. So this all or nothing thinking is like you're either on plan or off plan. If you're following a strict diet that has certain rules and you have to have cheat days, which I'm really against because it sounds like you're cheating on your diet, you should be allowed treats. You should incorporate treats into your diet, things that you enjoy in moderation. If that is the occasional takeaway, great. If that, it's just about education, about nutrition, about fitting things in with your goals, but it should never be this really strict rules or not at all. Missing a workout. Honestly, like I had a new lady sign up last week. She's really busy. She's got a full-on life. She's got all this stuff going on. Like, I mean, like crazy busy. Like there's a job and then she's doing something else and then something else. And when we did her first weekly check-in, she was like, oh, I've not done any of my workouts. I was like, that's fine. Progress over perfection. We'll work on that. But I was like, she was like, oh, I'll do them all next week. I was like, no, you just do 1 next week. If you can do 1, that's more than you did last week. And it's about building that consistent habits and having that success and saying, well done. It's like, it's all like gratitude, like congratulating yourself for the littlest things and not getting stuck on the big things and thinking like you need to overhaul your life. Yes, your end goal might be to live a certain way, but you're not going to create that on day 1. And if you constantly push yourself to go from 0 to 100, you'll never achieve it because no one's ever 100. And then the problem with that is if you have a meal off plan or you give up, you just then going, it's then like, oh, I'll give up, right, stuff it. Say it's Thursday and you've had a takeaway and a couple of pints. I don't know, so people still drink pints, used to love a pint. I'll start Monday. Then you've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday in overconsumption. Back again Monday. That is a restrict binge cycle. You are binging on the weekend, you're restricting during the week, and it's not sustainable. You need to start recognizing, and I think one of the biggest mindset shifts is when you start working on yourself and making changes, you need to realize that the person you were or still are isn't going to exist in the future. Because when you've come to the end of where you want to be, so reaching your weight loss goals, let's just talk about weight in perspective of this because it's really obvious with weight. When you've done the journey, you've lost the body fat and you've got to where you want to be, in order to stay there, you have to have changed who you are. Now, I don't mean complete overhaul, sacking off your kids and off to move to Switzerland with your fancy your new man. No. What I mean is, if you used to eat a pan of chocolate for breakfast, McDonald's for lunch, and then a takeaway for tea, to lose the body fat, you'll have had to change that. You'll have had to have fruit and yogurt for breakfast, chicken salad and I don't know, a couple of biscuits in the afternoon, and then shepherd's pie and veg for dinner, right? You start balance, and then once a week you had a takeaway. You had to make these changes. Every other day you had a chocolate bar because that kept you on track. Instead of having chocolate every day, you don't then lose all the weight, get to where you want to be, and then go back to who you were. Because if you went straight back to who that you were, right, before, what you were eating like, you'd put all the weight back on. So it's pointless. That whole challenge was pointless. If you don't change your mindset, your habits, and who you are, the journey is pointless because you will always go back to stage one. If you take weight loss injections and you don't change who you are, you go back to step one. If you do Slimming World and then just go back to who you were, you'll always go back to step one. I think you need to realise you need to change in order to get to where you want to be. Now, the great thing about this is it happens slowly. If you do it right, it's incremental change that happens along the way. And also, if you do it right, not only do you feel better every day along your journey, you start having more energy. That massive gut bloat and not being able to go to the toilet for 2 weeks is gone. You feel better in your own skin. You feel more confident. You have better hair, skin and nails. You feel more alive. Winning. So with this comes a feeling because you're actually fueling your body. Because I told you that diet I talked about a minute ago is terrible, as in like you will feel like shit because you are not giving your body the nutrients it needs and deserves. So you start feeling better and looking better and being better. And what happens then is, why would you go back to that original how you used to be? You're stuck in that old cycle, that bad diet. And bad diet means lack of nutrients, feeling rubbish, not looking after yourself, okay? When you change who you are by eating better and you lose the weight, you become a different person. Now I'm going to do it another way. Flip it up because you've actually gone up. Your weight's gone down, but your perception of yourself and who you are has gone up. Why would you still go back to the way you were? I had a client last year. She's one of my post girls. She's been on the podcast actually, Elizabeth. And I think one of her worries was she was like, I'm going to lose it all. I'm going to go back to where I was. And I always say to her, if you listen to this, she still knows this. And I think she really does believe it now because she finished in September, October. So what's that? 4 or 5 months? Yeah. Of sticking with it, the person she is now, she hasn't gone back because why would you? Why would you do that to yourself? If you worked with me and got to where you wanted to be and stuck there, which takes 6, 7, 8, 9 months, maybe a year, maybe longer for some of you, some people, some of my clients, we have to do a lot of mindset work before we even get onto the losing body fat. We have to set some boundaries in their life so that they have enough time to work on themselves. There's more work to do at the start that takes months, if not years, until we actually get to where we want to be. Why would you go back to that person that was stuck and sad and felt like crap? Because you wouldn't. The difference is, right, if you can't sustain what you're doing now or don't enjoy it, as in like, come on, we all know, well, actually, I don't know anymore. I actually love eating my oats for breakfast, my soup or salad for lunch and my healthy tea because it makes me feel good. But you're allowed your treats and things like that. But if you think you're in a restrictive diet, like say, I use the example of the fast 800 a lot because if you put me on an 800 calorie a day diet, I'd kill you. I shouldn't say that on a podcast, should I? I could get done for something and then they could use this as evidence. That was a joke, by the way, joke. But I wouldn't be able to train. I'd be miserable. I'd be tired. Oh, you'd feel like crap. So why do that to yourself? Why put yourself through that torture just to be thinner? I want to be skinny. And sorry, I shouldn't do that. Skinny. But it just really frustrates me when people are stuck. I'm not frustrated at the person. I'm frustrated at the industry for keeping them there, for keeping them in the mindset that they need to, you need to go on this stupid diet in order to get you to where you want to be. No, you don't. But you need a better structure and what you're doing isn't working. And do you know what? My biggest selling point of my coaching is accountability and holding you to it, having someone in your corner going, it's all right, you're doing fine, do this, go, off you go. You've got so much else to think about. It's so hard to stick to this new, different way because it's where you were stuck is easy. That's easy. That's easy to do that to yourself. That's easy to eat crap, give yourself a dopamine hit, and easy to carry on that. It's scary to change, but you can, and everyone can. So this all or nothing thinking is, I literally, every single lady I speak to, whether they sign up with me as a client, I've spoke to hundreds of people last year, every single one of them. It's so common. Most women I speak to are over 35, and the reason it's so common is it's because how we were brought up. It's what we live with, diet culture, being on a diet, being good, doing this plan, doing this. And it was drilled down our throats. And unfortunately, it is a money-making scheme from diet industries because that's how they keep you stuck. If you're doing their diet, their plan, and it works, you think, yay, great, I've got results, fantastic, thanks for helping me. And then you stop and you put the weight back on. You're like, oh no, I need to, the only thing that works for me is insert diet. Whereas it doesn't work because you're putting it all back on. How about we change the narrative and you change your life so that you fit in everything you enjoy in moderation? Let's not be silly, but start fueling yourself better. Learn more about nutrition, learn about movement, learn about exercise and why it's good for you and it's not a punishment, and fit it in with your life so that it enhances your life. And then you learn to, and that's it forever. You don't change it. I'll go back to, I'll use her name, Elizabeth. Hi, Elizabeth. She won't mind because she's been on the podcast anyway. She's told you her story. But she and another client has said similar before. And they're like, well, what happens when I finish dieting and I go back up to maintenance calories? What do I eat? And I was like, just what you're eating, but bigger portions. You don't change anything. Add in an extra snack, allow a treat because you've got the extra calories now that you're just at maintenance. And maintenance, for those that don't know, is about 300, 400, 500 calories more than your fat loss calories. And that's where you should stay at for the rest of your life. And it's okay to fluctuate, but you know how to bring it down because you don't lose the weight, go up to maintenance, which then means, oh, I'll go back to eating my pan of chocolate, my McDonald's and my takeaway every day. Because why would you? You wouldn't. You wouldn't do that to yourself. And if you got to that point, honestly, I've never worked with a woman that's got to that point and then gone, oh yeah, I'm just going to go back to where I was. It's just not worked and you've just not done the work. And it's just impossible. It's impossible. So the perfectionism trap keeps you stuck in the same cycle every year. And if you're someone who starts a diet every single January, this is you. I'm talking to you and it's keeping you stuck. We need to reframe bad days as normal days. Everyone has bad days, right? But it's a choice to have a bad day. I'm using quotation marks if you're not watching. And instead of the next going, oh, I've had a bad day, it's about picking yourself up and going, right, what can I do differently tomorrow? Reassessing what went wrong. What was the trigger? What happened? Oh, I had a shit night's sleep. My child kept me up all night and then I was late for work and I didn't meal prep and I didn't take my soup with me and I ended up just having everything. I was just really hungry and I was due on my period. So that's a bad day. That is a shit day. And you will feel, I want to just give you a hug and be like, it's okay. But what do you do differently? Right. You get home from work and go, I'm not going to do that again tomorrow. What can I do differently? I've got my soup to take to work. I'm going to try and get an early night. I've got my overnight oats. I'm prepped. I'm ready to go. I'm going to go for a walk. If I feel well enough, I'll go to the gym. That's it. Every single day should be a chance to reset, not every single Monday. You're losing too much time and too much progress if you're restarting every Monday. So the mindset shift, progress is built in the middle, not in the perfect weeks. So the difference, right? So when you have a really good week, and I see this with my clients sometimes, I have some ladies who sign up and who are literally like, they literally do it all perfectly from the start. And I'm like, why do you even need me? It's like you know what to do already, but they're just really good, like I am as well, at being like, I'm teacher's pet, right? Give me some homework and I'll do it. But with these women, most of the time, when we see the real results, it's when they have a week that doesn't go to plan. Maybe they've got an event, a social event, something happens, like a sleep again, anything that disrupts your normal routine of life. Christmas is a good one as well. And they're the weeks where I really get to coach them because I get to see, right, that went wrong. What can we do differently next time? And with that, they learn for the future. So that slip up, which isn't a slip up, I shouldn't have used that word, which that, speed bump doesn't have to happen in the future. But if it does happen, what would they do to overcome it so that they're not like, it's when you're in that situation, you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do in this situation. I've loved coaching my clients. We don't stop. I didn't go to Australia and be like, right, bye everyone, have a nice Christmas. No, we had a plan of attack. We went through it before I went away. And then over Christmas, New Year, I supported them as much as I could so that I was giving them the right support, but without being overbearing as well. None of my clients put on loads of body fat at Christmas. None. Did all of them enjoy themselves? Yes. And I'll tell you what, 80% of them, the other 20% didn't say anything, but 80% of them said, this is the first Christmas where I've not felt overly like gluttonous or overly full or just a bit like a slug. And I've come to January and I feel in control. And that is such a difference. That's a mindset shift. And it's what I teach as well. And I teach that about holidays, about events, about school holidays, about anything where your routine is out of whack. It's about Weekends is a big one as well. You can be all right Monday to Friday, and then as soon as the weekend hits, it all goes to pot. No, you need to be resilient every day of the year, because it's not about a diet, it's about changing your lifestyle. If you don't quit, you didn't fail. The only problem is if you ever you throw in the towel completely. So, why January motivation always fades and the novelty wears off and life returns. So this is a week where most women quit, but not you. They're quitting because it's too hard. You've made it too hard. If you're quitting this week and you're throwing the towel in, it's too hard. Stop it. Stop that now. Simple things. Drink more water, eat more fruit and veg, protein with every meal, or at least 2 meals. Go outside, do something for yourself. They're my 5 simple things that you need to do. It's what my girls are doing in my coaching. They're paying me for this advice. You're getting it for free. Motivation versus commitment versus identity. Right. So motivation is January the 2nd, you're motivated because number 1, everyone's doing it, and number 2, you feel like a slug after Christmas. Woohoo, let's go. January the 3rd, you're not motivated. But if you set a plan in place, you're committed. So you're like, I'm not very motivated, but I'm going to do it anyway. I was not motivated to get up this morning when my alarm went off. It's actually the first time in a while. I was like, rolled over, 6 o'clock, sunrise alarm, and I'm like, ugh, I could just snooze till 7. Could go back to sleep till 7. I've no calls booked in this morning. I'm self-employed. At the moment I live on my own. Martin's still travelling. He's back next week, by the way. Una's quite happy snoozing. She's asleep on the sofa now. She could do a walk an hour later. She won't give a shit. But I have commitment because I get up at 6 every morning, because then I have my routine where I then take Una out for a walk. I do my bits and I'm at work for 7, because otherwise I feel blooming anxious if I don't do that. And I'd rather do that and then, if I can, finish early. I say that, but did work 7 till 7 yesterday. But then I'm going to go to the gym, this afternoon. I take time out of my day to go to the gym. So I start at 7 in the morning. That's how I like to run my business and how I like to run my life and routine. Tell you what, I still get up at 6 on a weekend. Yes, I do. That's my commitment. And then you've got your identity. It's who you are. Now, this is who I am. The getting up at 6. Do you think I used to always get up at 6? No. I had to train that. I had to become that person. I had to become the person I am now. And it's consistency over weeks, months, and years, girls, years, that has instilled these habits. That's when it becomes your identity. Helen, how old am I now? 38. Helen at 28. What was I doing? Was I in Jamaica? I think I was living in Jamaica. Can't remember. When did I go to Australia? I went to Australia when I was 29. 10 years ago, I'd just finished backpacking, I think. Yes, that was it. Backpacking around Asia. I'd done 3 months, and I was still in Asia, actually. I was in Bali. And I then went and lived in Jamaica. And I was not getting up at 6 in the morning. Absolutely not. I was probably getting in at 6 in the morning. I'm a different person because I changed my identity, and that was my choice, and I made these commitments, but it was never like I forced myself into becoming who I am now. I just naturally, organically did, and now I couldn't imagine. My life is the best it's ever been, and to you from the outside it might look really dull and boring because I don't do that much, but I'm living my true identity and who I want it to be, and I didn't force it. It just naturally, over time, little things happened. Changes to diet, bit more exercise. I did it wrong sometimes, then I got it right, and by doing it wrong, I did it restrictive and overly, and now it's become my identity. How to keep going when you don't feel like it. Commitments, accountability, having goals, having it written down, making it your routine bulletproof, and your habits and your mindset. This is a lot to do with mindset, as in and what I mean by routine bulletproof is I take my dog out at 6:30 every morning. That's my daily walk as well. It's not just walking Una, it's my walk. So it's just what I do. And because I've done it, even through the depths of winter, girls, when it's dark and snowy and rainy, and at a minute I'm wearing wellies because the field's waterlogged and it's freezing, and even when it was minus stupid degrees, I was like, oh, I could just go later. I could always go later. I could go every day. I could go during the day. But I set it as a habit and routine because it sets me up right for the day. You keep going when you don't feel like it because you have goals. You have things you set to do, and you know the end goal. It's I have this thing in my head where it's like, I feel worse if I don't do it. Unless I'm really ill or feeling down. I've got a lot better at resting as well, but I feel worse if I don't do it. Lowering the bar instead of quitting. This is exactly what I said about my client who wanted to do all the workouts in the week, and I said, no, just do one. One workout's better than none. Going outside and getting a walk's better than nothing. eating fruit and veg is better than, being in a calorie deficit. Just something's better than nothing, girls. You need to start appreciating this. Stop looking at everyone else and start focusing on you and what you can do. And building momentum through showing up imperfectly. Oh my gosh, the amount of times I go to the gym. Last week was a really good one. I did a video on it, actually. My Suck It Up video, if you saw it. My legs were sore. It was the first few days back properly training. I did train in Australia, but no routine or serious, just for fun. And my legs were sore, but I'd set the intention that I was going to run to the gym, do the Stairmaster and run back. Oh my gosh, my run to the gym, it was so slow. It was like this little plod because I couldn't really move my legs properly because they were so sore. And I was like, I didn't want to go do it. It got to the afternoon and that voice in my head was going to sack it off. Just sack it off. And then this other voice came and was like, no, suck it up. Don't suck it off, suck it up. I'm like, okay, let's go. And it wasn't good. Gosh, I wasn't winning any prizes from that, but I showed up. So I was teaching that sack it off voice in my head to shut up, and suck it up. You don't need momentum. Wrong. You don't need motivation. You need a minimum standard. Minimum. Bare minimum. What's the bare minimum you can do today? Drink some water, get outside, eat some fruit and veg. Done. So the truth about January diet culture for women over 30. So why detoxes, cleanses and restriction are everywhere in January is marketing. It's sales and it keeps you stuck. It's bullshit. It's absolute everything. You don't need a cleanse. Your body cleanses itself. Do you know what? Right? I'll say I'm the fittest I've ever been, the healthiest I've ever been. I do not do a detox or a cleanse. Absolutely not. You don't need it. And I do not restrict either. Hence the honeycomb squares bar. It was good. Honeycomb's my favourite. If you ever want to buy me a chocolate bar, just buy me a crunchy. Absolutely love it. Only one a year though, please. Maybe 3 a year as a treat. So these restrictive diets, they mess with your energy, hormones and consistency because they're putting you in a state. Honestly, if you're on a restrictive diet or a detox or a cleanse or a juice silliness, it's not what energy is that giving your body. All right. Your body's then like, well, what's happening? Am I going to get fed next week or not? Or am I going to be on the stupid diet? Extreme plans feel productive because you feel like you're doing something like... So, there's this thing where you're like, and I did it with my social media and my growth for my online business, where I just thought the hardest way was the only way. Well, it has to be tough, doesn't it? But it's not. It doesn't. And what I found, especially from my social media, is just be yourself and show up and do the stuff you enjoy. And then you'll get better results. Easy. Wish I'd known that 6 years ago. Could sell that. But that's it. You can't sell it. You can't sell it because that's too easy. That's too simple. You're like, well, that's easy, Helen. Just going outside every day, that's easy. Just eating vegetables every day, that's easy. But when it becomes actual easy, it's part of your life, you then compound and add some more. Add some weight training in. Add some protein in. Maybe add, an extra walk. Add a little calorie deficit in. Make it easy, then add a level. So it's about... not suffering. If it requires suffering to work, it won't last. It just won't. You just have to be honest with yourself about this. And I will talk about this till I'm blue in the face. I do go blue in the face, actually, when it's really cold. So sometimes I'm blue in the face. But I hope you enjoyed that podcast. Say this with me now. I'm not a quitter. I'm not a quitter. And suck it up. Get outside today. Go for a walk. Hopefully you listen to this whilst walking. If you want more help, assistance, anything at all, my contact details are in the show notes. Please contact me and I will point you in the right directions or give you some help if I can. I honestly hope that you all listening get some fantastic results this year just by showing up. Honestly, trust me. You have to trust me. Anyway, if you can't live yourself, how the hell are you going to love anyone else? I shouldn't steal that from RuPaul. So thanks for listening and see you next week.